Hi there, this is Aleksandr Ptushko from Aleksandr Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is not from Japan, it's from Russia. It's 1972, and it's Ruslan and Ludmila. It's another Aleksandr Ptushko film. This is released by Deaf Crocodile. This is their latest release, and it's a beauty. If you're familiar with this channel, I did a random review of The Tale of Tsar Saltan by Ptushko, which is absolutely wonderful. I also did a random review of Sampo, or The Day the Earth Froze, or the World Froze, also by Ptushko, also by Deaf Crocodile. And I also did a review of Ilya Muromets by Ptushko. This one doesn't have a slipcover, so if anybody's got a Ilya Muromets slipcover and wants to part with it, by all means. And all three of these films are absolutely wonderful. But this is a whole different kettle of fish. Russian fish. Because this one is 2.5 hours of Ptushko. Let me tell you, 2.5 hours of Ptushko is quite wonderful. Again, with Deaf Crocodile, you get a lovely little booklet. There's Ludmila, and that's 3 love rivals. Great imagery, as you'd expect from Ptushko, who, if you're not aware, is kind of referred to as the Russian Disney, but he's more kind of the Russian Disney, Bava, Paul and Pressburger, Harryhausen, Karel Zeman, all kind of mixed into one. Deaf Crocodile have done another wonderful job. This is a 4K restoration from the original camera negative and sound by Mosfilm. There's a commentary track by comics artist and film historian Stephen R. Bissett. There's a new essay by Peter Rollberg, and Alexander in Wonderland, Folklore and Fantasy in the Films of Aleksandr Ptushko, which is a new video essay by film critic Walter Chaw, which is fantastic as well. This is a Region A, as all of the Deaf Crocodile releases are. And as you can tell, it's another beautiful slipcover if you happen just to collect slipcovers and don't pay attention to the film. So as with other films, this is a fairy tale, a fairly standard fairy tale, but what separates Ptushko is just the production design, the music, the imagination. This is the way kind of fairy tale films are supposed to be made, where the only limit is your imagination. So this is a fairly standard story, as I said. Ruslan is the proud Russian warrior who is to be married to the princess, Ludmila. As I said, that image in the booklet is of the 3 unsuccessful suitors. One's a kind of proficient soldier but fairly brutal. The other one isn't really that bad, but he's a bit of an outsider. And the third one is just likes eating and drinking far too much. So obviously they can't compete with Ruslan and his big square Russian jaw and his blonde hair. But on the wedding night, Ludmila disappears through the window and strangely enough, the king isn't very pleased with Ruslan, as he has failed to protect his daughter. The king is played by the same actor who was the king in Ilya Muromets, so that's quite good. In the Ptushko universe, and it turns out that Ludmila has been kidnapped by an evil sorcerer who happens to be a fairly small man with a ridiculously large beard, which his servants have to carry around for him, and that's where he gets his power. He's quite a wonderful character. So the king, strangely enough, is annoyed that his daughter has been kidnapped on her wedding night, and obviously orders Ruslan and 3 unsuccessful suitors volunteer as well to try and get the princess back. Ruslan is just defeated what look very much like Tartars. There's some political shenanigans, as there always is in king's courts, which come into play later in the film. But most of the film is a quest to get the princess back, and it kind of focuses on each of these characters and their fates, which are varied and interesting, and I won't go into them. But Ruslan meets an old sorcerer who tells his story of how he ended up being a sorcerer, and he tells him how to find the evil sorcerer. At some point a witch gets involved, as witches tend to do. And again, I'm not going to get into specific plot points because it's a lot of fun just watching it and experiencing these films and being taken along for the immersive ride in the universe that Ptushko creates. But the evil sorcerer's kind of kingdom is quite wonderful. The production design's insane. Coral areas and crystal areas. Ludmila is in a room full of parrots, which probably doesn't smell that nice really, and she finds an invisible helmet as well. Obviously there's a talking giant head that Ruslan comes across and meets. There's mermaids, witches, tigers. There's obviously somebody wrestling a bear. It is a Russian film after all. The invisible helmet. There's semi-nude men holding up part of the mountain, or kind of like living statues. There's all manner of good stuff. The film perhaps ends where you think it will, but then there's a whole different section at the end which still makes perfect sense. There's some twists and surprises along the way. The music is just phenomenal, with classical music. There's playful scenes as Ludmila tries to escape from the sorcerer several times. It's just an absolute blast. If you've seen the other Ptushko films and enjoyed them, then this is just a wonderful ride. Again, at 2.5 hours, it's not long enough because you want to just revel in the sheer opulence and majesty of the images that Ptushko creates. I mean, again, it's one of those films that couldn't really be a book. if you believe that cinema is a visual medium, then these Ptushko films are for you. Your eyeballs will thank you afterwards. It's just so much fun, and again, just so beautiful. And again, it's about the power of Russia, obviously defeating that is different, or that which is the outsider, wrapped up in a wonderful little fairy tale. So I can't recommend Ruslan and Ludmila enough. It's so much fun and just absolutely beautiful to look at. And again, as I said, not only do you get Ruslan and Ludmila's story, you get the three would-be husbands of Ludmila's story, and you also get the story of the sorcerer and the witch and how they came about. The sets, and as I said, the production design and sets are just absolutely gorgeous. And yes, there's an artificiality about them, but that just somehow gives them even more charm. So as I said, highly recommend Ruslan and Ludmila and The Tale of Tsar Sultan and Sampo and Ilya Muromets. These are just tremendous films, and again, an example of what you can do with colour and imagination, and plenty of filmmakers could actually learn something about just using your imagination. So thanks very much for watching this random review, not from Japan, from another country. Please let me know if you've seen the film and what you think of it, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.